Hello there you guys, welcome to another of my live videos, and on this video there is quite a few topics to delve into. So I am going to be giving you the latest news on Timo Werner from RP Leipzig. Also going to be giving you the latest news on Jadon Sancho. Now I did mention Jadon Sancho to you on a video that I did this morning, which I think is still uploading. But a bit more additional information is now updated about Jadon Sancho. By the way, when I do upload videos on YouTube, it does take a while because the video I did this morning, I think I did it quite early, but it's actually been taking a while to upload and that. So there you go. And also, I will talk with you a bit more about Jude Bellingham a bit later on in the video. I'll reiterate what I mentioned as well on my video that I did this morning. The Bundesliga is back. It's not long now until Schalke kick off against Borussia Dortmund and that. And I heard, by the way, that Jadon Sancho's had some kind of calf problem, so he may not be starting in the game against Schalke. So there you go. So now, let's start with the news on Timo Werner from RP Leipzig. So David Ornstein, who's from The Athletic, he's been talking a lot recently about Timo Werner and Jadon Sancho. He's actually said of in regards to Timo Werner that he will join Liverpool this summer, or he will stay at RP Leipzig until next summer and that. So David Ornstein believes Werner will only leave RP Leipzig for Liverpool. Now also David Ornstein did reveal that Timo Werner has held personal talks with Jurgen Klopp. He's also held talks with Manchester United's Werner. He's also had talks with Barcelona, and I think also too Chelsea have been in negotiations with Timo Werner's agent and that. But he's already confirmed as Timo Werner that he does want to make a move to Liverpool. He did confirm this back in February. Now I think Timo Werner has got like four main explanations why he wants to go to Liverpool. Is because obviously he wants to play under Jurgen Klopp's guidance. Also the coaches, the teammates, and the environment that Liverpool can offer him, and that the environment offer. So these are the four main explanations why Timo Werner does want to make a move to Liverpool. Now, obviously, he said the other week that Liverpool are planning to sign Timo Werner at the end of the season. Now, the main explanation for this is because if RP Leipzig do not win the Bundesliga this season, then Timo Werner's release clause does drop from 52 million to just 44 million pounds. So his release clause does drop by around 8 million pounds. Now, Timo Werner has got a contract with RP Leipzig until 2023, so still got quite a few years remaining on his contract. He's done very, very well for RP Leipzig since his arrival there, because obviously, RP Leipzig paid around 10 million for him from Stuttgart back in 2016. I think Werner's got around 88 goals in 150 games in all competitions for RP Leipzig. And I think he became the youngest player to reach 200 Bundesliga appearances. But Werner was also very, very good at Stuttgart, because don't forget he became the youngest player to ever represent Stuttgart. Also became their youngest goal scorer ever. Now, like I said to you before, I would definitely take Timo Werner at Manchester United because, he's a prolific goal scorer. I think, he'd live up to expectations if he came to the Premier League, and obviously his versatility is very, very good, and he's only the age of 23 or 24 years of age. But I think Liverpool are going to sign Werner. I really, really do. Of course, Liverpool will probably have to sell one of their attacking trio in Mane, Salah or Firmino, so Werner can get game time week in, week out. Don't forget Liverpool have recruited quite a few players in for the Bundesliga in recent years. Don't forget, they got Naby Keita from RP Leipzig. So if they sign Werner, he'll be reuniting with Naby Keita. They also got Takuma Minamino from the Bundesliga back in January, but they got him from Red Bull Salzburg for just over 7 million, but his appearances have been limited of Takuma Minamino's. I don't know if he's the foreseeable future for Liverpool, to be quite honest with you. Also, too, they got, was it Joe Matip as well from the Bundesliga? So, yeah, they have recruited quite a few players in from the Bundesliga and that. But I don't see Timo Werner coming to Manchester United. I really, really don't. Don't forget as well, he's already turned down a move to Bayern Munich because, don't forget Bayern Munich were also in for the player. But I think, Werner would do very, very well at Liverpool. But Liverpool have been in for him for at least the last couple of years. They've been in for the last couple of years. But back in February, he did describe Jurgen Klopp as one of the best managers in the world. So this is what David Ornstein has come out and said regarding Werner. What he's come out and said regarding Jadon Sancho is that, he believes that his transfer fee is fixed. And David Ornstein has confirmed that Borussia Dortmund will not sell Jadon Sancho for less than £100 million because Borussia Dortmund do remain ruthless over their valuation. They have said they want at least £100 million for the player. I've just been reading the Daily Express as well, and it does say that Jadon Sancho has got an agreement in place with Borussia Dortmund ahead of the summer transfer window, and it reportedly mentioned that he will not make a decision on his future until the end of the Bundesliga season. So this is what, David Ornstein has come out and said. Now, reports were coming out regarding Sancho yesterday, saying, we're only willing to pay either 60 or 70 million pounds for him. Obviously, that's not going to be enough to convince Borussia Dortmund to offload him. Because Borussia Dortmund did say that they do expect transfer fees to drop, obviously, due to the coronavirus pandemic. But like I said to you on my video that I did this morning, Borussia Dortmund have been known of being a selling club. They are known to be a selling club because, they have sold quite a few of their, players in recent years. Obviously, Aubameyang went, Ousmane Dembele went, Christian Pulisic went, they lost Matt Hummels, Ilkay Gundogan, Mkhitaryan. So Borussia Dortmund have offloaded, quite a few of their players in recent years. But don't forget, Fabrizio Romano, who's an Italian journalist, he said, that we've been working on Jadon Sancho's contract for quite some time, and we've also been in, negotiations with his agent. Now, reports were coming out last week, like I mentioned, and they said that, we're planning on signing Sancho next summer rather than this summer. And it also mentioned that Jadon Sancho's preference would be a transfer back home to London if he was to leave Borussia Dortmund, because don't forget Sancho began his footballing career in London with Watford, and he was at Watford for several years. But like I said, if Sancho goes to London, whether it be this year or next year or whenever, I think he will make a move to Chelsea because he won't go to Arsenal and he won't go to Tottenham. But Chelsea have obviously been in for Sancho. There was reports coming out yesterday, like I mentioned, and it actually said that Chelsea are planning to offload a couple of their players, to fund the move for Sancho, and they're hoping to generate around £78 million. I still don't think £78 million would be enough to convince Dortmund to offload him. Maybe £90 million could be enough to convince them to offload him, but they do remain ruthless over their valuation. Liverpool have been in for him, Barcelona, Real Madrid have also been in for Sancho, so he has had a long-running transfer saga. Don't forget, we first expressed our interest in Jadon Sancho in 2017, and this was before he went to Borussia Dortmund. Obviously, Jadon Sancho is now into his third season at Borussia Dortmund. Obviously, I think has he made around 90 appearances for Dortmund in all competitions since his arrival. Obviously, Dortmund only paid around £8 million in from Man City back in 2017. So Dortmund, selling him, they'll make a huge profit on the player. They're hoping to make like a £92 million profit on Jadon Sancho. But, like I said to you before, the main explanation why Sancho left Manchester City is because he didn't get enough first-team opportunities, and he did enjoy a few years at Manchester City. Sancho still got a contract with Dortmund until 2022, so, still got a couple of years left on his contract. Don't forget, he did say as well, we're willing to offer Jadon Sancho the number 7. Obviously, we've got number 7 vacant at the moment, and like I said to you before, we've had a lot of good number 7s up and down the generations, but like I said, our recent number 7s wasn't so good because Sanchez, was inconsistent. Memphis Depay wasn't so good when we got him under Louis van Gaal, but there you go. And I think it did say City do get around 15% of the transfer fee if Jadon Sancho is sold this summer. But like I said, he's got a very, very good friendship with Marcus Rashford. And obviously, Rashford did reveal before that he wants Jadon Sancho at Manchester United next season. But we are not willing to smash our transfer record for him. So David Ornstein believes that he will not be allowed to be sold. He will not be allowed to be sold unless their £100 million asking price is met. And Sancho is only at the age of 20, but he is one of our priority targets. So there you go. Like I've said to Man United are known for overpaying for players. We've overpaid for players, in recent years and stuff like that. We paid, 75 million for Lukaku from Everton back in 2017. We paid £80 million for Maguire. We paid 50 million for Fred. We paid 40 million for Matic. So we are known for overpaying for players and that. So anyway, that is the news on Timo Werner, and that is the news on Jadon Sancho. Now, there's positivity coming out regarding Jude Bellingham. There's positivity coming out regarding him. I'll reiterate some of the stuff that I mentioned on my video that I did this morning, because this is stemming from, I think, 90minute.com. They've come out and said, that we are confident that we have run the race for Jude Bellingham, and we are also planning to sign his younger brother as well, who is called Job Bellingham, and he's only at the age of 15. He's only the age of 15. Now, we've been in for Jude Bellingham, for quite a while now. We do know that Jude Bellingham is going to cost us in the excess of around £30 million. Maybe it could cost us £35 million. I think it did mention as well that there could be add-ons included. So that means 35 million up front with 15 million in add-ons, which would rise it up to around £50 million. Don't forget, we've already made a promise to Jude Bellingham. If he comes to Man United this summer, he will immediately get into the first team. So we are willing to offer Jude Bellingham a senior role. Don't forget, a couple of months ago, it was totally contrast to what's been coming out recently, because a couple of months ago it said that Borussia Dortmund were emerged as the favourites to get him. Borussia Dortmund, I think, were willing to offer him around £60,000 a week. At that time, Dortmund were seeing Bellingham as an adequate replacement for Jadon Sancho. Don't forget, back in March, Jude Bellingham had visited our Carrington training ground, obviously to hold talks with Sir Alex Ferguson, and obviously Ed Woodward had negotiations with his family, and he did like the tour around our Carrington training ground, did Jude Bellingham. Obviously, Jude Bellingham's on 145 quid a week at the moment. He's going to be signing his professional contract when he does turn 17. I think he turns 17 next month. And he's played 30-odd games for Birmingham this season as Jude Bellingham. 35 games, I think, in all competitions. So he has played persistently. Obviously, he became the youngest player to represent them because he made his debut at the age of 16 years and 38 days. But he is expected to leave Birmingham at the end of the season. And yeah, he's very, very inexperienced, is Bellingham. But do you think he'd do very, very well if he was to come to the Premier League and that? So there you go. So yeah, I think we've got a great chance now of getting the player on the board. So that's very, very good news. Obviously, on one of my videos, was it yesterday or was it the day before? I was talking with you about Rabbi Matondo from Schalke, because it does say, we are seeing him as an alternative to Jadon Sancho. So if we miss out on Jadon Sancho, we are looking at the possibility of signing Rabbi Matondo from Schalke. So he's also, playing in the Bundesliga. Rabbi Matondo, this has been his first season with Schalke, like I mentioned to you. He has got a contract with Schalke, I think, is it until 2023? Because I think he did sign him, was it a 4 or a 4.5 year deal when Schalke did sign him? Obviously, Schalke did pay around 11.5 million for him from Manchester City. Rabbi Matondo is a former Manchester City player. Enjoyed a few years with City, but never got any first. I didn't think he played once for Manchester City, so that's the main explanation why I left. And of course, before he was at Manchester City, he was at Cardiff. He obviously, began his youth career at Cardiff. Did Rabbi Matondo. He was born in Liverpool, but he moved to Wales at a young age, and he is now only at the age of 19. He's Rabbi Matondo, and he is a winner. So would you take him at Man United? It would be a much cheaper solution than Jadon Sancho. Of course, like I said, he's Welsh as well. And like I said, Tino, we got Daniel James last summer, and he's Welsh. We paid, £15 million for Daniel James from Swansea, and he's been a revelation. He's enjoyed a very, very good season with Man United's Daniel James. Don't forget, in recent weeks, we've been in for Joe Rodon from Swansea. He's also Welsh as well. Ryan Giggs has actually advised us to go in for Joe Rodon. He's also, I think, give his own perception on Rabbi Matondo as well as Ryan Giggs. So there you go. Obviously, on my video that I did earlier on today as well, I mentioned it yesterday night. I've been talking with you a lot about Raul Jimenez recently, haven't I, from Wolves. Don't get me wrong, I'm very, very sceptical that Manchester United will sign Raul Jimenez. I did say, didn't I? I think he'd probably cost in the region of either 40 or maybe £50 million, but now it's just come out saying that Raul Jimenez, could cost around 88 or 89 million pounds, and that is a substantial amount. He's a good player, don't get me wrong, but he is the age of 29. He's Raul Jimenez. Now, like I mentioned this morning, the Portuguese newspaper Record, they've said that Wolves have decided that they will sell Raul Jimenez at the end of the season. Now, Jorge Mendes, obviously, has been working with Wolves in recent years. He's been working with Wolves, and he's actually helping Wolves get an adequate replacement for Raul Jimenez. Obviously, it does mention that Wolves have been in talks about signing Carlos Vinicius from Benfica. Obviously, Benfica have come out and said, they will not sell Vinicius for less than his £88 million release clause. Don't forget, we recently been in for Carlos Vinicius from Benfica. But yeah, so Raul Jimenez is expected to leave Wolves at the end of the season. And I do really, really like Raul Jimenez a lot. I'd definitely take him at Manchester United because, he's well Premier League proven. His hold-up play is very, very good. He's a prolific goal scorer. And he's done very, very well. Of course, Wolves paid around, 30 or just over £30 million for Raul Jimenez. So I think he's their most expensive sign at the moment. This is being his first season with Wolves on a permanent basis, because obviously, Wolves got him permanently last summer, was it? Because he did obviously, have a year on loan with Wolves, did Raul Jimenez. And I think since his arrival at Wolves, I've got to make an admission, he has done very, very well as the player. I think he's got a contract with Wolves till 2023. Until 2023 as Raul Jimenez, because when he signed for them permanently, I think he signed a 4.5 year deal. I think he's played around 67 times in the Premier League. Obviously, like I said before, he was at Wolves, he was at Benfica for a few years. Before that, he was at Atletico Madrid for a few years. And he began his youth career with America, did Raul Jimenez. Now, Raul Jimenez is aware of the speculation, like I mentioned to you. He knows that, quite a lot of clubs have been linked with him. He did suggest out, though, earlier on this month that he is happy at Wolves, but he said, if Real Madrid or Barcelona come knocking, then he would consider leaving Wolves, would Raul Jimenez. By the way, he doesn't have a release clause in his contract. But yeah, so we have been interested in him, but I'm very, very sceptical that Manchester United will sign him, to be quite honest with you. But he would be a good adequate replacement for Romelu Lukaku, because we need a replacement for Romelu Lukaku, because he did leave the football club last summer, Lukaku, after he endured 2 years at Manchester United. We let him go for like £72 million to Inter Milan. But £88 million or 89 million is a lot for Raul Jimenez. And like I said, there's been a lot of strikers on our agenda that would be a cheaper solution than Raul Jimenez. Obviously, Kane's out of the equation now because Kane isn't going to be coming to Manchester United. Neither is Raul Jimenez, but out of the two, there's more chance of Raul Jimenez coming in than there is Harry Kane. Werner won't be coming. Definitely he won't be coming. I'm not too sure what's going on with Odion Ighalo, because to be quite honest with you, we're facing a dilemma over Odion Ighalo. There is a lot of uncertainty over Odion Ighalo's future. whether we're getting permanently or not, I do not know. Obviously, we have been told that we'll have to pay £20 million to get Odin Igalo on a permanent transfer, because Shanghai Shenhua have come out and said they want £20 million to let him go permanently. Obviously, Shanghai Shenhua did say, was it early on this week or last week, they did say that, they expect him, Odin Igalo, to return to Shanghai Shenhua in time for the start of the Chinese Super League next season. And I think it starts in July, does the Chinese Super League. Don't forget, Odin Igalo's loan deal at the football club does expire at the end of this month. Odin Igalo did say, though, that he wants his loan deal at the football club extended and that. Like I said, Odin Igalo has enjoyed a fantastic start to his Man United career. He has got, 4 goals in 3 starts at the football club. And he has been a very, very good cover-up to Marcus Rashford. But me, personally speaking, I don't think we're going to get Odin Igalo on a permanent transfer. I really, really don't. I really, really don't. And that, so there you go. But like I said, there's been a hell of a lot of players on our agenda anyway. Don't forget, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer still wants to continue the policy of recruiting young British talents to Manchester United like he did do last summer and that. I've got to make an admission, I have seen improvements under Solskjaer, since he came in. Like I said, I think, we have really, really improved in the transfer market under Solskjaer. We really, really have. What I mean is, he's obviously, got the players that I wanted to recommend in. We've been a bit more sensible with our recruitment because obviously, we've been criticised for several years, reflecting on how poor our recruitment policy's been. We've been criticised in that for overpaying for players. Obviously, there's players who we've brought in over the years who, in reality, we shouldn't have got rid of. So this is, what we have been criticised for. But we haven't only improved in the transfer market. I think with, he's changed things as well as Solskjaer. He's changed his tactics. He's also changed the personnel. I think a lot of players have improved under his guidance as well, such as Martial, Rashford, Fred, Shaw. They've all improved. But all them players endured a very, very difficult time under the Jose Mourinho era. So let's just put that into the equation. Obviously, before the football season got suspended, we rejuvenated ourselves because we are unbeaten in our last 11 games in all competitions, which is very, very good news. And Solskjaer's promoted the youth very, very well, which is very good news as well. Because the young players have been given their chances this season. Not all of them, but quite a few of them. Like I said to you, Greenwood's been given his chances. Brandon Williams has been given his chances. Maybe in the next year or two, Williams will be our first choice left back when he gains a bit more experience. But the likes of Chong and Gomez, their appearances have been limited at the football club. I've heard some Man United fans saying Tahith Chong should be loaned out. I think Angel Gomez is going to be leaving the football club because there's no signs of him whatsoever in signing a new contract and committing his long-term future with Man United. James Garner, he should get more opportunities going on into next season as well, but I think we've had the youngest squad in the Premier League this season. But there you go. And like I said, the summer transfer window, it will be Solskjaer's second summer transfer window as Manchester United manager, and it will be his 4th transfer window in total, because so far Solskjaer's enjoyed 3 transfer windows at Manchester United. Obviously, he's spent 220 million, he's recommended 5 players in, and I think, the 5 players he's brought in so far have done very, very well. So I think James, Bissaka, Maguire have done well, and Bruno Fernandes and Odin Igalo have done really, really well. Got to say, definitely, the signing of Bruno Fernandes has saved Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job at Manchester United. That's one admission I have got to make. And, yeah, so we've done very, very well. And I was hearing the other week that Solskjaer's going to get around £200 million to spend this summer. Don't forget Solskjaer did say that we're going to be enjoying a different transfer window. But I think a lot of clubs in general anyway are going to face an unprecedented summer transfer window due to, the financial issues with the coronavirus pandemic. So what I mean is, maybe players are going to leave clubs for a lot less than what they're worth. Maybe teams aren't going to get the number of players that they do want in, or they're not going to get, the players that they want and stuff like that. So there you go. But, Solskjaer's basically said, he wants to make around 3 or 4 signings this summer because he believes that's how many we need to become title contenders next season. And that's how many, he does believe that we need. And Solskjaer's identified the areas in the squad where he does want to strengthen up. He wants to recommend a centre-forward in, right winger, midfielder. There's still some reports emerging out saying that he wants to recommend a centre-half into the football club. But it is good that he has revealed his plans. But Solskjaer has got the backing of Ed Woodward. He's got the backing of the Glazers as well. But like I've said to you, I've been very critical of Solskjaer this season, like a lot of Manchester United fans have since the start of this season. But not all of the blame stemmed from him throughout the course of this season. Like I said, Ed Woodward's obviously, being very accountable. A lot of the blame has stemmed from him. We've obviously, got a lot of doubts about the club's ownership, the Glazers. Let's also put that into the equation as well. So there you go. And obviously earlier on in the season, there was the players, weren't performing to the standards as we should expect from them. I think throughout the course of this season, we've lost games that we shouldn't have lost. We've drawn too many games as well. And there's still things that Solskjaer needs to work on. He needs to work out his best formation, because he has been changing formation persistently this season. He also maybe needs to make a tactical change, because we have been playing a lot from the counter-attack, as you've noticed this season, if you have been watching Manchester United. So there you go. So these still things that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer does need to work on. And like I've said, up and down, the years and that, there's players, that Man United missed out on. And in reality, we should have got them. Prime example, Haaland, we should have got him in January. We should have got Haaland. We missed out on a few players under the Jose Mourinho era. We missed out on Perisic. We missed out on Griezmann. Definitely we should have got Antonio Griezmann, but due to Atletico Madrid's transfer ban, we didn't get him at that time. Obviously, there was a few players that were missed out on the David Moyes era, such as Toni Kroos. I think at one point we came close to getting Gareth Bale. Obviously, there was players that were missed out on under the Alex Ferguson era. Alan Shearer, Ferguson went in for him. Went in for Aaron Ramsey back in 2008. Before he went to Arsenal, but we didn't get him in that. So there you go. Just shows you, doesn't it? And we need to sort contracts out for next year as well, because we've got around 8 or 9 players' contracts that are due to expire next year. So let's just put that into the equation. But to be fair, a lot of players' contracts have been extended since Solskjaer came in. So that's obviously very, very good. Maybe there's some players that we shouldn't have given contracts to. Definitely in that. But Solskjaer, he's planning to get rid of around, 6 players this summer, maybe 7 players. Like, I've already gone through with you, the players that I think are going to leave Manchester United. Jones, Pereira, Sanchez, probably go back out on loan, Will Sanchez. Delors, Angel Gomez, Smalling and Rojo will also go on permanent transfer. So we're definitely, going to get rid of more players. To be fair, though, Solskjaer has got rid of a lot of the deadwood since he got recommended in to the football club, which is obviously, very, very good news. Which is very, very good news in that. But like I've said to you, in the last 6 or 7 years, we have been playing catch-up. We've had different managers with different philosophies. We spent close to the £1 billion range on recruiting players in, and we've recruited over 30-odd players in since the Alex Ferguson era and that. But like I said, we haven't dominated football since the Alex Ferguson era, because we had 20-odd years of success. We had 20-odd years of success under the Alex Ferguson era and that, which is, very, very good. We won a total of 38 major honours under Ferguson, but obviously, there again, Ferguson didn't win out in his first 4 years at the football club and that. The only mistake Ferguson ever made was ever recommending David Moyes in, but, since Ferguson's retirement, we have been playing catch-up. 3 managers have, been sacked since the Ferguson era, Moyes, Van Gaal and Mourinho, so Solskjaer is our 4th permanent manager since the Alex Ferguson era and that. So there you go. But he's still in the process of rebuilding, so he does deserve at least another season, and he does deserve at least a couple of more transfer windows. By the way, I think there is 2 young upcoming players that are incoming, because I heard that, we're going to be getting Joe Hugel from Sunderland, if I pronounced his name correctly. I think we've agreed around the £250,000 deal with Sunderland for him. It also mentioned that we've got that player from Barcelona, Marc Juado, and we've paid just over 1 million in compensation for him. So if you want to add them into the equation, we've got 7 players in under Solskjaer. If you want to add them into the equation, I don't know if it's been fully confirmed yet, but I was reading about that, the other week. I really wasn't that. Obviously, yesterday as well, I'll give you the news on Pogba. The news on Paul Pogba, don't you? He's looking very, very likely he's going to be staying at Man United next season. Don't know about the foreseeable future. Paul Pogba was recently training, in the Cheshire Cricket Club, with Pereira, Lindelof and Martial. So he has been stepping up his fitness regime, which is very, very good. Also, too, Rashford, he's going to be back when the season resumes. So that's very, very good news. So anyway, guys, like I said, this will take a while to upload this video. Well, it'll take maybe 2 hours, something like that, because this is on record. Don't forget, they have got underway now in the game. I think again, they have got underway in the game in Germany between Borussia Dortmund and Schalke. So there you go. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, like, on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless you all again very, very soon.